Today we're going to talk about how you can improve your chances of landing a gig once you've applied for it on UpWork. So let's get right to it. All right, so I'm gonna tell you these 3 things that are really going to boost your chances of landing a good paying gig on UpWork. Now this assumes, of course, that you've found a good gig that has a good job description, says it's going to pay well, and isn't a job description that just says, I need an app. Clients like that are already gonna be difficult to work with. I don't recommend talking to them. Ignore those, move on from those. However, once you've found one that's interesting and you would like to apply to it, these tips are going to apply to you. Now, a couple of caveats. You need to make sure that your profile is up to date. Have a picture of yourself as your avatar. And we'll talk about this in another video, but have a picture of yourself, have your bio fleshed out saying what you do, if you're a developer, designer, whatever, and have some portfolio images inside of your UpWork profile. So if anyone looks at the profile, they can see exactly what it is. So I'm going to assume that you have those things already and you've applied for a good job and a good position here on UpWork. So let's go ahead and move to the next step, which is number 1. Make sure that you read the entire job posting from top to bottom. And there's a reason for this. The reason is when you reply, there might be specific instructions that you need to follow when you're replying to the employer. What could they be? Well, I'm going to give you my personal experience because I've been on UpWork for over 10 years now. I've hired over 60 contractors, which you can see in this screenshot right here. I have dealt with numerous different contractors from all over the world, and I have found the number 1 best way for me to filter out anyone who is spam applying is by simply providing some instructions inside of the job posting. So you need to make sure you're reading the whole job posting, because if you don't follow those instructions, your application could be declined for not following the job posting instructions. I can't tell you how many people I've declined because they did not follow the instructions. Now I'm going to tell you exactly what I do here because I've shared this on my blog before, so it's not any secret information. My job postings will include what needs to happen in the job, perhaps what the project is, the skills that you need, and how we're going to work together. It could be anywhere from 3 to 5 paragraphs that are somewhat small. However, buried somewhere in the 3rd to 5th paragraph, very randomly, I will put the following sentences. Please reply with the word coffee, or it could be any word. In this case, we'll use coffee. So please reply with the word coffee in your job application. If you do not include this word, I will decline your job application for not following directions. What this does is eliminate anywhere from 60 to 80% of the job applicants that apply for all of my positions. This goes for developers, editors, audio engineers, graphic designers, UX, UI designers. It doesn't matter. This works in every single category of employment out there on UpWork or any other freelancing platform for that matter. And this is coming from someone who employs people. And I know many other employers that do the same thing. Now, this isn't a trick. This is meant to make sure that the people who are reading the job application are actually reading it and following directions. Because if they can't follow the very simple direction of including one word like coffee in their reply, then we're already starting off on the wrong foot. So be sure to read the entire job posting and look for any additional instructions and follow those instructions. For me, if you see something like that that says include a word, that doesn't mean you have to include a paragraph about how you love coffee. I just need the word coffee included somewhere inside of your reply. It could just be the first word or the last word. I just need to know that you saw it. At that point, then I'm going to look further into your job application. So that's number 1, read and perform all of the necessary tasks that are asked inside of the job application. Now, caveat to that, if they're asking you to do a bunch of work and do free work, I'm not saying do that. I'm saying if it's just something simple that shows that you've actually read the job post, make sure you do that. Otherwise, your job application could possibly be declined if you're applying for a position, for example, with me. If that was the case, I would decline the job application for not seeing the word coffee. Now, it's not going to be word coffee. It could be the word bench. It could be the word wall. It could be the word camera, whatever. It's just, and I change it every time I make a job posting just to make sure that it's consistently different. Okay, number 2, this one is going to be the most important after you get past that first initial wall of applying for somebody. And this is going to be to make sure that you're replying in a manner that's professional. However, you want to make the job of the employer as easy as possible. You want them to make sure that it's obvious that they should choose you. And so how do you do that? You want to keep it very succinct, but direct, to the point, and make their job easy. Make it easy for them to decide. For me, I've recently hired someone who is a Slack engineer and knew how to build Slack integrations. And they replied, I've built Slack integrations for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 companies. For example, here's an example of a Slack integration I built, and they provided a link. This one did X, Y, and Z. And here's another Slack integration I built that did X, Y, and Z. And here's a link to a screen screenshots of this one because it's a proprietary one. And here is an example of an open source library I built to help build these things out, and they provided a link. You can provide links inside of the job application. I highly recommend you do this. Provide links to your existing work, provide links to anything you've done that's related to the project. If it's a web development project, provide links to anything web development related. If it's a mobile app project, provide links to any mobile app project that you've done. You want these to be links because as an employer, I'm gonna scan down, see that you have talked about what the job posting is about. Maybe it's Slack engineer or Rails developer or whatever. And I'm gonna see if there's anything that you've done. Now, of course, yes, I could go look at your profile, but you want to remove as much work as possible from the employer. You wanna make their life easy. You wanna make it dead simple for the employer to look at your job application, because you have to realize they're not getting one of these. They're getting anywhere from 40 to 200 of these. So the easier you can make it on them, the better. So provide links to all of your existing portfolios or anything that would provide proof that you know what you're doing in regards to that job application, and put that directly inside of the application itself. Now, to wrap that one up, just so we recap there, you don't want this to be a 3-page job application. You want it to be succinct, to the point. Use white space as your friend. First paragraph, I have worked with this technology for 5 or 6 years and built X, Y, and Z. Here are some links to some of the things I've built, blah, blah, blah. I really think I could help on your project. Really excited to get going at it. Please reach out to me if you have questions so we can get started. Boom, straight to the point. I saw what you can do. I've seen the links. I've clicked on them. They look great. Hopefully they look great. And now I'm ready to either shortlist you, which from an employer perspective, I can shortlist people and say, hey, I'm interested in this person and this person and this person. And then I can kind of filter it down from there. So that's gonna be your goal when you start reading and replying to all of the job postings. All right, now number 3, this one is very important and depends on the culture and where you're at in the world, unfortunately, that some people don't agree with this one because it could be on the weekend, it could be whenever. However, if you're starting to get in freelancing and you're using Upwork as a way to kickstart your career in freelancing because you want to start doing this full time or just make some money on the side, you have to realize that you have to be fast to reply. If you apply to a job position and within an hour, someone sends you a message asking you a question about your job application, you need to reply to that as soon as possible. The faster you are to reply to these clients, these employers, the more responsive it makes you look. And clients love responsive people. Now, this can get a kind of touchy for certain people. Some people might say, well, I applied on a Friday night and I'm not going to work on a Friday or Saturday. That's okay, that's up to you. However, just know that there are people in the rest of the world who are very hungry to get any type of work underneath their belt, and they will work the weekend. They will reply as soon as they get a message. Now, it might be 12 in the morning over there and they just happen to be awake and they reply. That just is what it is. I'm not saying that you need to keep your phone on buzz and loud and wake you up in the middle of the night. That's not the case. However, you just have to be aware that if you see a message come in from a potential employer, you want to reply to that as soon as possible. This is going to up your chances because it shows that you are very responsive. Again, you want to make sure that you're not setting weird expectations that, hey, I'm going to be working at 3 a.m. on Saturday or Sunday. That should never be the expectations. But on the same token, be aware that there are people willing to do that. So it's kind of a balance that you have to kind of walk here. Depends on what you are really interested in applying for versus how popular that job position is. Now, if you're the only person in the world that does this one particular thing that they're looking for, well, the ball is in your court and you can kind of do what you want to do. However, if it's a very generalized, maybe development or graphic design or something like this, it's nothing super specialized, then you're going to have more competition and it's going to be harder, which is why you want to reply as soon as possible. So be very responsive, and that's going to increase your chances as well. Okay, so let's recap. Number 1, read the entire job posting from top to bottom. See if there's anything in there that the client is requesting of you. Are they asking you to reply with a specific word, do a small tiny task, like tell you the #1 headline on a website today? Something like that that's going to help qualify you to get you to the next stage. So read that entirely. Number 2, make the employer's life easy. Keep your reply short, succinct, to the point, and include links to portfolios or existing projects that help prove that you know what you're doing. Again, links are very important. At this point, all the client has to do is read your job application, find the links, click them, look, shortlist you, and potentially hopefully interview. And number 3, if and when the client reaches out to you and has a question, reply as soon as possible. Do everything. If you're really interested in this position, then reply as soon as you can, because it's going to up the odds that you're going to land this position simply because you're so responsive and clients love that. There's a ton to talk about here. in regards to Upwork and various other platform sites out there as well. However, I have seen this happen on multiple individuals when they're posting for jobs and they leave all this stuff out. If you follow these 3 simple tips right here, you're going to vastly increase your chances of landing a good gig. And then from there, the sky's really the limit, because it can open up to other network opportunities inside of places like Upwork or even outside. And you can start freelancing independently outside of a platform as well. I hope that helps. If there's anything or any questions you have regarding this, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.